Let's do. Let's get unpossessed. He can think, I can talk. He can sit, I can walk. Unlike mankind, he can read my mind. Unlike mankind, he can read my mind. So we do. So we do. So we do. With baby talk. Let's do. Let's do. Let's do. With baby talk. Let's do. Let's do.
two for the time. Come on, girls, let's rock that. Just listen, that sound is me, I think.
This is the night. This is the night. wonder about this place. We live in a land of hunger, a land of waste. Kinda makes you wonder about this place.
What must we do to make it happen? To bring this pain to an end. Don't want to turn in desperation and do foolish things again. Some people say they want their lives to be lived a different way. Some people say they want their lives to be lived a different way. In this land of hunger, peace and love are very rare. In this land of plenty, people find it hard to share. And I say,
We live in a land of hunger, a land of waste. Kinda makes you wonder about this place.
got to find a solution and bring it home again. We'll join hand in celebration, 'cause the truth will rise again. Oh Lord, some people say they want their lives to be lived a different way.
tell you something, and I'll make it crystal clear. I came to dance and party, not to argue with you, dear. You've been working pretty hard, girl, on that web you tried to weave, but you're looking pretty tired. I think it's time for you to leave.
My name is Augie. I'm the Leo of the group, and I like to scat. Check me out.
Hi, my name is Gregory. I sing high like a parakeet and real, real low.
I think there's a couple of people still getting some cocktails. But Stephen Benton for hosting us and for providing this excellent space and the music and everything. And just a heads up, next week we have our final talk. It's a series of 4 that we're doing for Hispanic Heritage Month. And the last one is more of a party. And we're going to do salsa. They've lined up some incredible like old time salsa record collectors. There's going to be great music, so definitely next week come out for that. I'm going to just start with, well, I'll introduce myself and I'll just say a couple of things, and then I'm actually going to go around with the other microphone and I'll have our wonderful panel introduce themselves. So welcome. This talk, I didn't call it Fashion is Art. Someone did, but I love the title. So we know I worked in fashion for a long time. I had a brand here in Miami, a sustainable fashion brand called the Onikas. And towards the end, after COVID, I started getting more into activism, and I kind of got just very burnt out of the whole fashion system, fashion with a capital F, meaning industrialized fashion. I also was super aware of the environmental problems. You know, most clothing that Zara and et cetera are producing is over 70% plastic, and yada. I mean, you guys know all this or you wouldn't be here. So, you know, that kind of like started really grating on me. And also the fact that most, you know, the word fashion was not in use until the 1870s. It comes from the French fashion, manner of. It was actually coined by a French sociologist, and it, you know, he wanted to describe something that he saw, which was people wanting to emulate the elites of Europe. That's why it's fashion, in the fashion of. But ever since then, you know, it's really been in the traditional fashion world, you know, sort of this very, you know, you say fashion and people are like Prada, Dior, it's always very European. But the truth is, every single person in the world, no matter where you live and no matter what your income bracket is, you wear clothing. So there's clothing systems everywhere, right? But I'm not going to go off, that's a real bummer vibe. So that's the bummer vibe, but I want to go on a high vibe, art, right? At the same time, it is such a vehicle for creative expression. There's really such artistry. I mean, I know you run into people in the street sometimes and I'm like, whoa. And again, it's usually not the people wearing head to toe Prada. It's usually the people who have thrifted, who have stuff of their parents. You know, style is definitely, is an artistic, creative experience. And what I have noticed lately, especially doing a little research for this talk, is I really wanted to take a deep dive into Latin and Latinx designers in the United States. And I'll talk about it later, but it's a really exciting time. And it mirrors a lot of what's happening in the art world. Is 20% Latinx. It will be in the next couple 30 to 60 years, 30%. We're the fastest growing minority in the United States. So definitely a force to be reckoned with, and yet it's the most underrepresented group in most things. In the art world, of all philanthropic giving, of all, only 2% goes to Latinx causes. It's very, you know, exhibits, art world. Right now in Miami, I want to encourage everyone to go, actually at our very own PAM, there is a fabulous exhibit called about Chicano art. I'm leading a group there October 12th with Miami Art Hang, which is something I founded. I'll do an Instagram follow later, but if you guys want to come. So even in art and in fashion, I feel like there is a moment that's happening right now where Latinx history and, you know, just this collective vibe, I'm going to call it, is having a moment. And in literature, too. I had a talk last week with the director of the Miami Book Fair, and the amount of authors and literature, and it's an exciting time. So that's all I'm going to say as a little intro, but I want to now introduce this very eclectic, distinguished panel.
everyone. Thank you for Ida of the fashion styling program at Instituto Marangoni for different unexpected circumstances. I'm not fully leading anymore, but I'm still with them, and I'm in charge of like the advanced classes and capstones. What else do you want to know from me? What else can I say?
Well, we're going to ask.
Yes, you'll get to know a lot more. And you're right. Something that Veronica was saying. I feel like whenever you see people and you think of fashion, it's definitely not Prada, Versace. It's not none of those things. And I represent one of those things precisely. This T-shirt. Everyone always asks me, and this belonged to my husband. This was actually when he went to see Aerosmith in 1992, and that's why it's actually a real treasure, and it's not something that I got at Forever 21 or any of those reproductions, and that you wear as a medal, actually, in so many ways. Thank you for coming.
Hi everyone, thank you for coming. My name is Luna Heller-Tegi. Thank you, Veronica. I am born and raised from Miami, and my parents both from Argentina, so makes me Latinx. I went to school actually really nearby in Dash, so it's down the road. If any of you guys know, it's a design school. And then I studied art and fashion, and that sort of started like what I am today, which I still haven't figured out, which Veronica's labeled me as an indie designer. So I then went to school in London, to Central St. Martin's, where I studied fashion design with a focus in textiles. And I've been working in the fashion industry in London and in Italy. And quite recently, a couple months ago, I moved back to Miami to sort of trial out my own. So I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
She was my intern also. Nepo baby.
Hi, my name is Maria. I am the founder of Animal Vintage. I was born in Uruguay. I grew up, I came here when I was 5. I grew up here. It has informed so much of my personal style as well as what I do, and we'll get into that later. Thank you, Veronica, for having me. I'm super excited to be here. Yeah, that's about it.
Hi, thank you, Veronica, for inviting me here. My name is Edgar Navarro, and I'm a Guatemalan jewelry designer. I was born and raised in Guatemala, and I've been in Miami for 6 years. So I'm a newbie here, I guess. Well, 6 years, not that new, but yeah. And I actually studied industrial design in Guatemala, and as part of our career, we had to go and like discover all the artisanal techniques that my country has. And industrial design is about industrial process, right? So after I discovered all these techniques, I was like, industrial design. So I started focusing only in artisanal techniques, and I started developing my jewelry line. As you can see, I'm wearing a lot of jewelry. So I try to represent my culture through jewelry because I feel like jewelry is the one item of fashion that you never throw away, that it's meant to be passed from generation to generation. And I felt like that was the heart of what I wanted to do with my work, with my line of like creative expression. I wanted to do something that I'm very inspired by my family stories. So I wanted my work to be something that you pass within your family line. So that's how I created my brand. And when I moved to Miami, I was very scared because I didn't know anyone when I moved here, and Vero was one of the first people that I met. And then I met everyone because Vero knows everyone. But it, like you said, it informed a lot of the work that I'm currently doing. It changed my inspiration. I like living by the water, even like it changes you somehow. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, that's a really good thing to leave with. So I was mentioning to you guys that I had a conversation with my friend who runs the book fair. She's Cuban, and we had this whole conversation. And I actually just saw her yesterday, and she gave me a pile of books. And a lot of what's happening right now in literature is this immigration story, right? Or people finally claiming the space to tell their stories of immigration, especially during this very contentious political reality which we are living, which in which many people's immigration stories are vilified. But we won't get into that. So I think it's just, again, the flip side of that is sort of celebrating all of this first gen, which I think all of us are kind of first gen, although you were born here, right? Yeah. Right. So that'll be my next question, and we can start with whatever. We can start with all of you. You kind of said it. So I want to talk about that. Two things. Number one, how your creative process was informed by your, country of origin, your family, and then also you already answered it. That's why that was a great question about how Miami has changed your trajectory as a designer.
I think I like to romanticize my life. And I changed my life stories in order to get inspiration, and I try to go as if I'm writing a story or a book. When I write my concepts for my collections, it's usually inspired by the stories that my mom tell me, that my grandmother, that experiences that we have where we talk about scary stories, that my great grandmother was a medium, and all these things that happen. I like to grab all these stories and try to see what necklace she would be wearing while she was doing these things. And I try to create this jewelry also informed by my cultural, these pre-Hispanic shapes. Guatemala has a big jade tradition, and we wear big jewelry, right? Like mine's big jewelry. So you won't find a dainty necklace in my store. But I think also as a queer person, being in Miami changed the way I can express myself, which in Guatemala, a lot of my jewelry is chainmails. It's a lot of almost an armor that I wanted to create to protect myself. That was my way of saying that I needed protection in the environment that I was in, because growing up as a gay man in Guatemala was very challenging. Also my school experience, I was in a military oriented school, and my experience growing up in Guatemala as a queer person were of me needing to protect myself. And even though Florida is very conservative, it's still miles away from growing up in Guatemala, right? So as a creative person, it also changed the way I just feel more free to just be, wearing this without feeling that I might get murdered on the street. You know what I mean? These are things that I had to consider there. So it was more I felt like when I was in Guatemala and I was dressing like this, it was kind of like a political statement that I knew that I was risking my life. I don't know if it sounds very dramatic, but it's true. Well, here is just me being me, and I feel like that changes the intensity of your work. So I feel like when I moved here, I was able to work on things that just meant peace for me. Things I love, things that I didn't feel the need of being so combative with my work, and my messaging was more about okay, now I'm safe. I felt safe, right? And that kind of helped create things that were softer, even though they don't look soft.
Sorry, what was the question?
Okay. I know. So the question is, how has, and we've recently talked a lot about this, your family's immigration trajectory, and then Miami, those two things, those two factors in your style and your.
Okay, got it. Okay, well, so in a nutshell, I immigrated here when I was 5, and I was undocumented until I was about 22. That's how long it took for me to get legal. In that time, I lost some opportunities, but I was always obsessed with fashion, and I had a scholarship to fashion school that I couldn't use because I was undocumented. So I had to figure out how to meet those sort of creative urges in a different way. And we didn't have a lot of money. So my mom started taking me to thrift stores, and and so in those thrift stores, this was in the 90s, nobody went to a thrift store. I mean, like, you got shamed for going to a thrift store. Now it's like a national sport, I feel like. But it was a place for lower income people only to shop. You wouldn't see like, middle class or upper middle class shopping in there. But there were some really amazing things, and that was the time before where I grew up, before white flight. So these snowbirds from New York, mostly Northeast, I want to say, that were coming here were donating their stuff, and it was like insane. Just like caftans and rhinestones and feathers, and just, these women had places to go. And before they took off, they would, donate all their stuff at the end of the season. And that really informed a lot of my personal style and what I collect and what I sell, which is, not just informed by that, but our weather, the color, the climate, very colorful, print, pattern driven. And at that time, very few people were doing vintage. I just kind of figured it out. This was also like pre-internet, or just when the internet was coming out. That's how old I am. So I started kind of noticing a pattern in when I was shopping in these places. It's like you just go through a rack, and then all of a sudden it would be like, boom, big bright colors, prints. And I'd be like, oh, that's the thing that I like. And it was like Emilio Pucci. Or, I didn't know who Emilio Pucci was, but I'd start seeing it here and there. And then I'd go to New York, and there was a couple vintage stores that sort of taught me what was what. And I'd be like, it'd be like Emilio Pucci, $200. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I just saw it for $5, I'm going to get it next time. And so that's how I learned. I kind of taught myself. Then the internet sort of took off. Started learning more. And I made a business out of it. I bought my first piece of vintage probably around 17 years old. And so that was 30 years ago.
And you've probably been thrifting every day.
Pretty much every day
Really?
for the past 30 years. But it's addictive. I mean, who doesn't want to get like the most amazing thing for $5? Hi. But
wait, true story. I was like, I want to wear a blazer and I want to have shoulder pads. She literally went to my house. She goes, oh, wait. She went to her car. She had just gone to Goodwill. I left the tag. This is Pierre Cardin, and it was $10.
It's Pierre Cardin for Lily Rubin. It was $10. I needed a pair of shoes, and I was like, I'm not going to go pay full price. Let me go see if they have a pair of black slides. They didn't have. I have a whole thought process on this, but we'll get to that later. And then for fall, I was like, isn't that cute? $10.
So you just wanted to bring this because literally it was hilarious. Just like shoved in a bag in her car when she got to my house. I was like,
I was like, wait, what about this?
Yeah.
Yeah. You look amazing, by the way. Yeah. So, yes. So being undocumented, I think, definitely steered me towards what I do. It was a blessing in disguise in a way. And also being low income, also informed what I do, and I'm still doing it 30 years later.
It's called thrifting because
it's thrifty. Yeah. Yeah. So that's it.
Keep going.
Could you repeat the question?
So one thing is just to talk about like your heritage, where your family's from, how that's informed your aesthetic or your style or your design, and then how Miami.
Understanding who we are in each one of our identities first to grow together.
What was the question? What was the question? How do you think the industry, which, the whole industry has changed? Do you find it more inclusive, more diverse?
I think it's hard to say with vintage. I mean, vintage overall has just exploded, and that's great. That is beneficial to the environment, beneficial to the consumer. I think the thing that I did want to touch on that we don't touch on a lot. So I was a stylist, and I was also always collecting and looking at how clothing is made. And one thing that it took me a long time to realize this, that in this world, everyone is really fixated on, there are certain designers, right? Like Yves Saint Laurent and Christian Dior and, you know, the great European designers. And you look at the construction of clothing, it's absolutely incredible. But then when I started noticing, I'd start picking up vintage indigenous textiles. And I was like, wait a minute, our people were the first couturiers, you know, like the way that the textiles are woven, the way that they are dyed, the way that they are assembled, the colors, the patterns. I grew up thinking that the way that the Europeans did it was the way, you know, and that was the apex of design, of couture. And what I noticed in my work, you know, in collecting, was that they weren't. They didn't have the final say. When I look at the way that Guatemalan textiles are made, one of my, you know, I'm always amazed. People doing the most with the least, you know, with these super old techniques. And I think that that's something that doesn't get enough credit in what I do. You know, everyone is still focused on the European couture.
Well, actually, sorry, I always bring it back to the art world, but right now there is the same. There's a big textile boom in the art world. It was just a show at Espacio 23, which is the Perez Annex, and the whole show is about textiles. There was one at the Metropolitan where they took a lot of female textile artists, Annie Alper, Sheila Hicks, and then they also took Andean textiles. So in the Andean textile tradition is one of the oldest in the world, not just Latin America. The Inca Empire did not have written. They don't have glyphs like you had the Aztec or the Maya.
As you're taking people that are dyeing the fiber by hand, and these people who have sophisticated machinery to do, you know, this, and you know, you go toe to toe if you want, you know.
No, and then there's a whole environmental thing. I mean, you're talking about natural dyes, so it's like any of these corporate, and even I worked in India for a long time, and you know, all synthetic dyes are just pollutants, right? They're going right back into the water stream. Don't even get me started on waste colonialism because I'll bore you to death. But you know, when you look at artisanal dyes from Latin American cultures, you know, they are working with native plants. They're medicinal. They're healing plants. They are reusing everything. I mean, we all know the mess that we're in right now. Like, if there's truly a way forward, like, that's what we have to pay attention to, right? Anyway, thank you for that.
Weba.
You don't have to answer my question. You can talk about something.
The community of creatives that I went to school with, both here and in London. And here, you know, I was speaking to a few people in the crowd that I was so lucky to have gone to school surrounded by so many creatives, and on top of that, a lot of the majority creatives from Latin American countries, which was extremely fascinating, because in the moment here I didn't realize how unique and how special it was until I went to school in London, which is now not part of Europe, but at the time, whatever. And I realized that there were so many people from Europe in my class, but I was really surprised with the amount of Latin American students also in my class particularly, which I think, you know, maybe 10 years ago it maybe wouldn't have been the same percentage, and now it was like, I'd say like in every pathway that there were 5 pathways, there were a good handful of people. I mean, there were a bunch of Argentines, there were a bunch of, you know, people from Mexico, for me Argentina because I'm Argentine, but I felt really at home when I got there, and I noticed like how unique it was going to school here, surrounded by all of those, and how unique of a voice everyone had, and how distinct really anyone who grew up or has, you know, family from Latin America, what they have to say. And surprisingly enough, a lot of the students who had Latino backgrounds in my school in London were the ones that sort of like came up on top. Now that I think about, a lot of them ended up going to work either for themselves and start up their own brands, which a lot of them are. I'd love to put together a list for you actually, because I was thinking about it. Either they started up their own brands, some of them even went on to, you know, become fine artists, and a few have gone to work for luxury fashion brands, which I think is quite fascinating because they're coming in with their own voice. And the one thing that I was really afraid of, like with the thought of these people going in, and you know, as we all know, the fashion industry really takes advantage and exploits at most designers that work for them, but they're actually getting recognized for their work. So, you know, if there's an Instagram post or something about something that was done specifically by them, they are getting recognized, which I think is really nice for this community especially, and I think it's just the beginning. There's really a lot to share, and I'm very excited to be a part of this.
To do whatever you want, talk about whatever you want. I mean, the thing with diversity, and especially as a stylist and in the styling field, I think it's still very raw. And I'll be honest, like speaking especially about Latinx people, we're not there yet. I mean, it's unfortunate, but like even just the job as it is barely finally getting recognized. I mean, we have been like the nobodies behind the scenes for many years, and until now, I mean, like Marangoni is like one of the very few schools around the world that has a degree on fashion styling. You know what I mean? So otherwise, you become a stylist because you were a designer, or you were just someone who was enthusiast like me. I never studied for being a fashion designer, fashion stylist, but so then it goes even more backwards, like Latinx and that are like highlighted. Maybe in Miami, yes, of course, there's great people. First one that comes to my head, for example, actually a colleague of school, you might know her, Mariela Ortega, who's fantastic. But then I would like to see Mariela, and I mean, she has done big publications, but I would like to see her like way bigger than she is. You know what I mean? And so on with a bunch of other people. We're still not overlooked, I definitely think.
So interesting, because I was reading the CDFA nominees, and there are in every category, you know, and I'm going to highlight a couple. But again, before I take questions, I want you guys to ask questions. I want to go through like everyone's Instagram. I am going to write up. I'm going to talk after all this to everyone that I've talked to and get lists of, you know, in literature, art, and fashion. So I'll tell you at the end what my handle is, and I will post. I'll send this list of just resources, articles, and stuff. I do want to talk about
Chavarria. Okay.
So do you guys know who he is? Because we can deep
topic.
dive. Do anyone know who he is?
That's
Raise
a
your
very
hand.
interesting topic.
Okay, guys. Yeah. So I'm going to link this. Okay. Absolutely breathtaking and killing it in the industry. So he started out, I just heard a Business of Fashion podcast that I will link, an immigrant. His father was a farm worker. I mean, he grew up in California, you know, very much in Chicano culture. He has risen. He was the former Calvin Klein head designer. He won last year for menswear designer. If you've seen the style lately of larger pants for people, that's him. But if you follow him and what he's doing, I mean, his integrity is so incredible. Like, he actually has a social justice ethos behind his brand. Every single person he hires, every stylist, every photographer, are all part of the Chicano community. It's incredible. And for someone who grew up in Texas and also spent time in California, where it was like Chicano and Mexican were an insult. When I was little, and you know, I would speak Spanish with my mom, I'd always be like, "Mami, no hables en español," because I knew, like, I could hear it in my back of my head. Mexicano is Mexicano. You know, it was really harsh growing up in Texas, and it was the same way in California. I have a lot of friends. To see this inversion and this FU to all of like what these team of creatives are doing is incredible to me. Really, like, I'm just like, yay. And Elena Vélez too. I really like her too.
I love Elena. Yes, big time. But I feel like Willie is like the man of the moment, and I have a conflicting opinion about Willie. I agree with everything that you're saying, but it has been a point where I'm asking myself, especially once again as a Latinx. I mean, I come from a country that it's well known for being tremendously violent, that has a huge story of both guerrillas. I said was? Oh, was known. Yeah, is it? Yeah, yeah, you're right. I mean, like when in '90s, yes, yes, '80s and the '90s were absolutely horrible. But we marked in history like our page of like being that way, and people. I mean, you can still see the movies and the shows, and we're constantly talking about drug lords from our countries, etc., etc. And what has been like in my mind ever since I started checking out Willie is a lot of what you're saying is like the FU of like this was my culture that you thought that was something to be shamed for, and now everyone wants to wear it and they think that is like the most amazing new thing that they have never seen, and it's really crazy to think that I am so familiar with that aesthetic as well, because that's I think like a very universal aesthetic of once again like Latin American gang drunk lord, unfortunately, because it's not just the Chicanos, you know what I mean? It's like that negative part that is also like that. And I remember having this conversation with a bunch of other people from my country as well, saying like, and these were actually students of mine, like they're 20-year-old kids that would be telling me like, what do you think about him? Because when this models wearing this kind of outfits, and as you're saying, especially because he picks also Chicano models many times, whenever we are in Colombia and people like this show up at a public place, we live, because we know there's going to be a shoot or something like that. And it's crazy to think that an aesthetic that seemed to be so detrimental for understanding violence is tremendously praised at the same time right now.
Also, I love when people make. I love it. I love like problematizing things. I think you're totally right. I want to bring something up to you guys, because Arlene Davila, again, she wrote this seminal book. She's a sociologist called Latinx Art. She, it's really interesting because you're Colombian, I'm Ecuadorian. Willie and this Chicano movement, they are technically would be from California, right? So we're, it's very, again, just even more confusing, this whole category, Hispanic, Latin, Latinx, Chicano, what is it? But there is a difference. There is a difference of a Latin American person coming here versus someone who grew up in the United States, born in the United States, but of immigrant parents, especially in the Southwest. I mean, Florida, this was the most Spanish, we were part of Spain, and it didn't become part of the United States until the 1800s. So, we're talking, it's similar that I grew up in Texas or California. I mean, the Southwest of the United States, huge, and they were here even before the Spanish and before the English. So it's interesting because it makes it even more difficult, right? Of what, I mean, I definitely say I would never categorize him or his aesthetic as Latinx. I would definitely say, no, that is Chicano. Yes, it's Chicano. So again, just more problems, but I love it. I mean, good, because I agree with you. I think we need to keep digging because there's no answer.
I did want to say something about that because I feel like when we look at hip hop culture, I feel like we are dealing with kind of a parallel. Yeah, we're having a parallel conversation. Like, like, you're not going to tell us that this is what this is. Like, we're going to tell you, and I think it's about just taking it and being like, that's our thing. That's our style. It is not for just for drug dealers or whatever the thing is. It's I think it's a very powerful thing that he's doing. He's taking that narrative and being like, no, wait a minute. This is actually culture. It's not this thing that you perceive or how you see us on television or in movies or as drug dealers or in the cartel or whatever. He's like, it's a culture and there's more to it than that. And we're going to take a hold of it and put our name on it,
Just one more thing. Sorry. So on that note, in art right now, again, the Pam, please go see this show or come with me. It's incredible. Do you know why Chicano art all of a sudden got all this money and all this funding? The largest collector of Chicano art in the United States was Cheech and Chong?
Yeah.
Right there, Mr. Cheech. He made all that money and he started collecting very slowly all this art, and he amassed a huge collection, made it a museum in California, then endowed the National Gallery and the Smithsonian in Washington, endowed the new director, who is Latin American or Latinx, Carmen Ramos. She then persuaded her and a bunch of other curators in Latin American art, the Getty, the Mellon. There's a $5 million grant that is made to hire more Latinx Chicano curators and artists. So, it's, like I said, it's in all industries, music. But the people that started it, or like in art, really, it's Cheech, who was the most stereotypical. If you grew up here in the 70s, like a lowrider, it was like, and yet, they took that very demeaning narrative of the Latino and said, okay, I'm just going to start collecting the stuff that no one's going to buy and no one thinks is valuable, right? And I'm going to, he did it. So it's pretty cool.
I also think that a lot of the experience for a Latin person in the United States, it's oblivious to someone growing up in Latin America. Like, a lot of the references that we have in Latin America are so abysmal from the references happening in the United States. And like you said, like, the Chicano culture in the United States is not only the look, it's the cars, it's the way they paint the cars, it's the music and it's informed by the immigrants coming from Latin America, but it transmutates into something completely different inside the United States. So I think that's what I'm saying about, like, us being careful with how we communicate our cultures, because it's gonna be understood completely different in different lenses, right? Like, the same way you could say that the other aspect of the Latino is like the well-behaved Latino that they like to see portrayed, right? Which is also problematic. So it's kind of walking this fine line of where the references are coming from. It's kind of like seeing art. Everyone is gonna see something different, and I think clothing, it's directly informed by what's happening around you in the context where you're living. And even if it looks similar that what we see in Latin America, it has a whole different meaning when you're in another country where your diaspora is put down or like criminalized. And this is what you say, like with hip hop, this is a lot of the aesthetics of hip hop. A lot of people say, oh, that's gangster aesthetic, right? But black people took it and they were like, no, this is how you have categorized our culture, and we're gonna reteach you what we are. And not even reteach you, I think, like, we're just gonna reappropriate our style and without considering your opinion. And I think as Latinos in the US, we have to take back our cultures and recreate this narrative of what it has been said about us, because it's still being said about us. It's still being said that we're criminals, that we come here to take, that all these narratives are still happening. So I think it could, I get your feeling in Latin America, but I also think it's powerful that we take that and we say, like, we still don't care, like, we don't give a fuck.
I want to open it to questions. If anyone has a question for anyone in particular or for the whole, so.
Hi, my name is Victoria. I just want to say thank you. I am loving everything that's going on here. Like, I'm typing, I'm furiously typing. I haven't been here long in Miami, and I work in between fashion and art. I actually work in an art collection near here. I wanted to hear from a bit of all of you. How do you feel and interpret the Miami market fashion scene? Because there are several things that I have seen that I noticed that make Miami particular. The Latinx purchasing power, the level of luxury, like the fact that LVMH is a major partner and owner of the design and developer of the design district. That doesn't happen in another place in the US. And also that you have not only a Latinx customer of different levels, but you also have Latinx designers that are able to sell and happen here, or Miami be a bridge for them while they are in Latin America. I know it's a lot, but I just of a designer. Okay, so I know here, let's say that they came from Latin America to Miami, you have like Angel Sanchez. Or a designer, let's say, that is Latinx, and I think she grew up here and she's doing amazing here, Chantal Lacayo. Or, for example, more specific, smaller independent brands. I am Venezuelan, so I know specific like Veneca, Puerta Negra, all brands that Mariela is very familiar for, but that they kind of like manage in between, like they produce there and sell here, or vice versa.
I'll be quick. I think it's still a work in process. I think it's very complicated, and I feel like what is happening in Miami is also a reflection of what is happening in a lot of other places in the world. We are completely convinced that luxury is fashion. Sadly, it's not. And I don't know. I feel like finally we're kind of like really hidden low in general into that understanding of fashion everywhere. And I feel like with every cycle, maybe we're going back into like relearning what is really important about fashion. And I think that covers what is happening here too. I feel we need to educate ourselves as once again Latin Americans into what we really want to be shown from our cultures. As you were saying, I think that's the most important thing. Otherwise, we're just replicating a bunch of echoes from other people, other brands that, I mean, it's okay to like them, but is that us at the end of the day, for real? So that's like my overview very quick.
Thank you for bringing up this topic. I haven't spent enough time in Miami in the past couple years since I left 7 years ago and I just got back. But what I've noticed the short time that I've been here is that there has been like a massive influx of artists and designers that have moved here from Latin America and also from different cities. I have one of my friends is a Cuban artist, and he was living in New York, he was living in LA, and now he's in Miami. So I think probably the most exciting thing that I do see is just a lot of room for experimentation and collaboration. That's what I'm hoping to see. I'm hoping to honestly see like a hybrid between the art and fashion world, especially here, because you do see it in different cities, major cities around the world, and in Miami it's still quite fresh. And even myself, like I'm still confused whether I'm a designer or an artist. I don't know. And I've been convincing a lot of my friends, like, come back home, come on, like there's so much room, like there's so much room, we have so much to say, like it's up to us really. So for me it's the experimentation that's coming out of all of us just being together, and like and having a space like this even to come together. This is really important. So the more the merrier. Thank you.
And also, no, wait, someone back there had raised your hand, and then I'll go back to you. Do you want to go? Yeah. And also what Luna said, I think it's important to like follow, there are people that are constantly like raising awareness, following of Latin designers, Latinx designers. So yeah, it's here. You just got to find it.
Hi, thank you for the panel. That was great. I raised my hand during, not for a question, but just to say that the Willie show is also based on something that also derived from Colombia. So it was interesting that you brought up, how you had, the thoughts that you had about it. But it's called Colombianos. So his show was based around Chicanos and Colombianos, which Colombianos comes from the cumbia culture in Colombia. So anyway, that was just like, I wanted to say that. And then my two questions are for Animal Vintage, and then another question for, I guess, the whole group. How do you, because you've been in the industry for a long time, and obviously we see a really big rise in vintage culture and these markets. How do we feel about that being colonized? Because for me, I too used to go to Goodwill and steal. That's how much we couldn't afford it. So now to see, like, you know, I'm white, but a white girl that's not Latin, you know, go to a Goodwill or XYZ and purchase a piece and then try to sell it back to a brown or black person. How do we feel about that?
I mean, I'm never going to knock anyone for buying secondhand. I think it's just something that we all need to start doing. I don't have as much of an issue with anyone co-opting like vintage culture. What is vintage culture really? Like, I will say that when I was starting, I got a lot of flack because, like I said, you know, thrifting was for low income people. So, like, God forbid anyone find out you went to a thrift store because you were going to get clowned on. You know, now you pull up to the thrift store and there's like a Bentley parked outside, you know, like everyone's doing it. It's the cool thing to do. And that's great. I think what I see with shopping secondhand and knowing what fast fashion is doing to our environment is the second largest polluter after oil, after fossil fuels, is I see buying not just secondhand, but small designers, things that are beautifully crafted that are going to last you forever. This, what I'm wearing everything I'm wearing is secondhand. I think my whole outfit cost $120 total. This is a Canadian designer named Wayne Clark. I think this is like from 1982. It is still standing the test of time. I promise you what you're buying now is not going to stand the test of time. It is going to end up in a landfill. I see secondhand shopping as a form of resistance. You know, it's saying F you, Jeff Bezos. You know, it is one less thing that needs to be produced. A pair of jeans takes 1,000 gallons of water to grow that cotton. So we have to think about these things. I'm not mad at anyone for trying to make a living off of, you know, selling something secondhand. I think it's the future, actually. You know, and it is one of the, I don't know the exact statistics or the numbers, but it is one of the secondhand everything, furniture, clothing, books, everything is one of the fastest growing segments of retail. I think growing exponentially.
The movement called defashion. There's an organization called Fashion Act Now out of the UK. I got involved with them during the pandemic. I said big F fashion system versus little F fashion system. By the big F fashion system, I mean more like industrialized fashion, right? Not only on the luxury scale, but also on the fast fashion scale. And I agree with you. I mean, there is a shift, even though it's slow, and it's so muted by the noise of you know, industrialized fashion, by the influencers that are outfit of the day, and all, you know, there's just this compulsion. And it's weird because this younger generation is more aware than ever of the environmental harm, yet they are so driven to get something new. I mean, Halloween is a dogfight in my house every year because my kids know me and they're like, they have hide the shit they buy and it's like, Mom, but it's Halloween. I'm like, yeah, but do you know the Halloween costumes that are like, I mean, if normal H&M is plastic, Halloween costumes are 100% plastic, and they're worn once anyway. So yeah, I definitely think, and also in and really, if you think about also in art, right? Like, what's original? Like, everything is sort of a pastiche of what was there before. You know, no one is reinventing the wheel. Like you said, the Willie Show. Yeah, I forgot cumbia culture. I mean, you know, it's really hard to say, oh, that's an original, first time I've ever seen that. No, it's probably secondhand something.
Yes. Oh, Okay, I had one more question. I don't know if I'm allowed. Okay. Sorry, I was just really inspired by Edgar and your story about being a queer person and dressing in a way that, you know, is like a political statement. And because we're, you know, Latinx and there's also stylists on the panel, I want to talk about kind of how we're deconstructing the patriarchy in the way that we style people, especially because in reggaeton culture now we see that people are wearing skirts and they're wearing like, you know, they're trying to bring more awareness to maybe queer trans issues, but there's still some resistance to it, and I feel like what's the conversation around that and how can we kind of, you know, go on a, not a decline, what is that when you go up? Yeah, an incline. That.
Yeah, the girls been doing it before the rappers. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we've been doing it for a long time, and we get shit for it. You know, so I think it's interesting to see like Peso Pluma and Bad Bunny and all these like ideas of the macho Latino man being like, I would say it's feminine coded, but the reality is like a lot of their lyrics don't really like mirror how they look. So it's like, why are you really presenting yourself this way when your messaging it's still very pro patriarchal structure? So I think they have a lot of work to do to like deconstruct themselves, because I think it's us that have to put that pressure. You know, I feel like it's very easy for me, right? It's the same question of, is the industry more inclusive now? And I was like, kind of a tough question, because it is compared to the past, but there's so much work to be done. And I think unfortunately our cultures are very rooted in patriarchy, and that's just the reality. And a lot of the things we romanticize about our cultures are also problematic. But I do think it's a step forward, definitely. That the idea of this macho man is still, it kind of makes it easy for us to navigate this world, because you could be a rapper, you know, like they don't know if I'm a rapper or if I'm a reggaeton artist. Like it makes it easier for us in a way, because now this is more accepted. But I think the acceptance has to be matched with the messaging they are saying. For me, it's like kind of vain. Like it's kind of empty if your persona shows something and then I hear your lyrics and I'm like, oh, you're still bashing gay people. Like, why are you doing this if you look this way, right? So I think we have to be careful with what we celebrate, instead of like just demanding more from them if they are using this, right?
I think we're gonna have to have a part two. I want you guys to keep drinking tequila. It's already 8:30.
Hello, thank you for the conversation. It's wonderful. I'm Colombian, topic, and what does Latin mean, Hispanic? And it's more about, to broaden the conversation, it's really about, I feel like all these conversations end up in who are we? Right, we still don't really know, and I think that's a wonderful thing. And I think we have to embrace so much of the Anglo culture that we find ourselves in is all about defining and boxing in, right? So my name is Juan Pablo, for example, and my last name is super long. Growing up in the United States, and like I said, I'm born and raised, everybody just wanted to call me JP or just Juan, always simplifying and narrowing down to its most basic thing. And I think we really have to fight that. I think we have to embrace complexity, because we are complex. And I'll give you, and we really have to educate ourselves. I'll give you a perfect example. This whole cowboy culture that Beyonce, that's Hispanic culture. That's why you have llaneros in Venezuela, in Colombia. That's why you have Las Pampas. It's Hispanic culture. So we have to really understand what is ours. And we're 50% from the Mediterranean. We have African and we have indigenous. And there's no way to know who we are if we're going to reject 50% of ourselves. The only reason why we can have a dialogue here is because of our Mediterranean heritage, and we speak Spanish, and our culture is Christian, whether we're religious or not. It's fundamental. So to embrace our indigenous, our African, which I think is vital, we can't reject such a profound part of ourselves.
Sorry, that is something I wanted to bring up actually. So I'm glad you brought that up because growing up, so my mom is blonde with white, and I'm the darkest person in my family, and I always felt like the odd man out because everyone in my family was, blue-eyed and blonde hair. It wasn't until I went back to Uruguay as an adult that I saw other people that looked like me. It wasn't until that trip where I went back that I discovered that there was an Afro-Uruguayan population. I had no idea. I thought everybody was white. I didn't know where I came from because I didn't really know my dad. And that being said, I grew up hearing my mom say horrible things about other Hispanic people, which I, not happy about. There's a lot of discord amongst ourselves. And I think that you're right. If we are going to get to a place of unity, of understanding, then we have to figure out, we have to talk about these things amongst ourselves. Like, it's so different, like, are we really that different? You're Guatemalan, your food's different, your history is obviously like different. We speak the same language. Like there's something there that bonds us. It has to be more than just the language, right? Because we all speak Spanish, we can understand each other, but culturally the cultures are so different, and I did hear my mom say horrible things about other cultures, and she's not the only one that I heard say those things, There were other people who were, don't say, don't talk in that way. They're going to think that you're XYZ, and we're not that, and blah, blah, blah. It's terrible. If we don't move past those things in our own, amongst ourselves, then how are we going to confront, the bigger issues and people, other people saying things about us? So.
Part 2 will be next week.
Super quick, but I completely agree with what you're saying, Juan Pablo, and of course Maria as well. Once again, back when people would be like, oh, but you're from Colombia, you don't look from Colombia. Why? Because you're not wearing the flowers on the boleros and all that stuff. But also, and it was so weird, and I always felt like, what are you, like, don't say this to me like if you were a compliment, because I don't feel it that way. They would always say, like, you look more like Greek or Spanish or Italian, and I would be like, but I'm not. And you gotta be kidding me. Like, my face is tremendously indigenous, and it's absolutely fantastic. Like, one of the things that those experiences actually made me felt more Colombian by being here in Miami than when I was in Colombia. And it felt good to reject that instead of, like, once again, these people were complimenting me, and it's like, no, you're not.
Yeah, well, wow, guys, this conversation is incredible. I think it goes to show you that we need to have more conversations like this, right? And on your note, JP, just kidding. I mean, I had the same thing. I grew up in Texas, and I was from Ecuador, and nobody knew where Ecuador was. Again, because it was Texas, it was like, oh, you speak Spanish. Oh, you're Mexican. I'm from Ecuador. Whatever. It's changed, but it is true. We are this entire huge continent. The Spanish did a great job. Yes, Spanish, we all really do have very similar things because the Spanish colonial project was so methodically brilliant in many ways with the language, the religion, many, many things. So we have more in common than many other places. But I want to thank you guys for coming, and I really appreciate everyone coming. Everyone's gonna shout out their Instagram handles, but even if you just follow one of us tomorrow, I'll make sure everyone adds everyone. I promise to get that list together for everyone of all of these resources from these incredible people, books, art, articles, because let's just all keep driving the conversation and learning more and, kumbaya movement. Anyway, thank you guys. I'm just going to go around with Instagram handles.
Mine is very easy, so it's Juanita Crary, so it's like Juani Crary. That's it. Juanicrary. You're gonna find it right there. Thank you.
Okay, so mine's Luna Elertegi, but that might be a little complicated. You can get there via my archive, which is one, like the number one, of Luna. So I've simplified it.
I'm Veronica. I have many Instagram handles, but I'd love you to follow me at Miami Art Hang, and that's where I will be putting. I also have a Substack where I will be publishing all these great resources. But you can follow me there, and then you'll see, and I'll put all that info there.
Mine is at Animal Vintage. I actually put stickers in the middle for everybody. My QR code's on the back. It'll take you right to my Instagram.
This one is going to have, by the way, keep in touch, a massive, she calls it an estate sale coming up. And, well, you'll see. So if you really do like vintage and are into vintage, you need to get at discount.
I think it's fascinating how everyone creates their digital names. I feel since MySpace and all these names. Mine is edgarnavarro.a or .a. That's my name.
Edgar also has a beautiful store in Wynwood called The One Who Travels. Yeah. And we might have to do a second version of this there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's designers of all over Latin America. So we have designers from Mexico, Colombia, Brazil, Uruguay, Ecuador, everywhere. And Guatemala, of course.
Thank you. Thank you, Dále.